Are you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. I have a really good show for us today. I'm with my beautiful co-host, Chelsie Ward. Hi, Chelsie.
Hi, Cornelia. So good to be with you today.
It's nice to have you back. We had you on the Transformation Talk Radio Facebook talk show that we did, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we loved so much the conversation we had with you. We wanted to invite you back again because this topic that we're talking about here is feel good in your skin as you transition into menopause, ladies, and beyond. Nearly half of women aged 30 to 60 have experienced one or more symptoms of hormone imbalances, including low energy, weight gain, mood swings, sleep disturbances, urinary incontinence, memory loss and brain fog, anxiety, depression, and loss of interest in daily activities. Over 70% of women don't realize these symptoms are hormone related and spend time, money, and worry for years working to address them because they don't fully understand how their body works. Today, we're going to be diving into why it gets harder to lose weight as we age, what foods are best for you to eat now after menopause, and the link between digestive health and menopausal symptoms, practical tips to boost digestive health and get through menopause gracefully. Where do emotions come in and play? And how do we create balance with self acceptance? My guest today, Chelsie Ward, has been a student of the human mind and body for over 20 years. She has a background in applied behavior analysis, is a registered nurse, FDN practitioner, and a spiritual healer. Chelsea's Go With Your Gut method was created for independent, driven women who are tired of hiding from life, trying to figure out digestive and hormonal imbalances on their own. She supports them with a personalized plan so they can love themselves and feel good in their own skin. Chelsie is the author of Healed His Way, where she shares natural healing techniques that have been used by many others so they can experience health the way it was intended. Welcome to the show, Chelsie.
Thank you so much.
We had such a great conversation because I was sharing with you that I personally went through the menopausal transition. And at first, it was a very difficult thing because I was never one of the people that claimed menopause and hot flashes and all the things. I was informing my body that I was going to go the natural way and that I was not going to be resisting the change because that I was going to be fine. And at the same time, I also had some weight gain and I also went through some changes. And that was really hard, losing that weight again and bringing the balance back into in my emotional well-being. So you and I both, we were talking about this subject because I found that going through uh, that phase in my life, I had to come to a place where I just wasn't judging my body. Do you find that a lot?
Absolutely. This is a big key. And I think that this is where the self love piece comes in, and our body is going to go through transitions, and we can wake up one morning and expect everything to be the same. And I remember people telling me, girlfriend, you eat that today, but you will not be able to eat that in 20 years. And I just poo pooed them. I was like, whatever. My body it's just the way it is. And the truth is that as we age, things do change. And we have to, number one, emotionally accept that. And I love that part of your story where you just said, you know what, I'm gonna gracefully accept this. And then sometimes we see this physical change on the outside and the reality sets in that we've got to do some things a little bit differently if we want to get the results and we want to feel good. And how do we feel confident through these changes, right? If everything's changing, how are we even going to feel confident at the end of the day and feel as good as we did in our 20s, in our 30s? And how do we do that going into our menopausal years?
Yeah, I really, it was because here was the thing with me is that I went into menopause pretty much at the same time when COVID started. So it was really interesting because, there was no um, socialization outside. So, all the activity that I used to do outside, that all slowed down. And then my body was going through the changes that it was going through. So that was really there. It was like it felt like a double whammy. There was like a lot to process. And I know so many of us have had challenges over the last 2 years with whatever. My God, we've been through so much as a human collective in the last couple years with COVID and all the changes that we're all going through in the world, from our economic changes to our political changes to our new earth change, all the things. It's just so much. And, I got to a point, thankfully, I was already refusing to do negative self talk. So for me, that was already I already had that boundary, is that in place that I just refused to. So then I had to re up that again because I can't negatively talk about myself because that's not the way of love.
Right. Yeah, I think that when we're transitioning, where these emotions really come into play is that we're moving into this new phase of life, and then you bring COVID in. And this is exactly what happened to you. And I see it happening with a lot of people. I've had a lot of clients come to me and say, I entered into menopause like right when COVID hit. And it's really that stress response in the body because we're busy, we're thinking about, women are raising kids, they have their careers, they have all these things, and all the life is just keeping them busy. And a stressor is going to impact us in many ways, number one. But then you add, maybe I'm close to that transition where menopause could possibly be on, I could be on the brink of menopause. And just that flip is going to potentially kick you into early menopause because at the same time, what's going on inside your body is that your ovarian production of your hormones is kind of slowing down. You're getting rid of that. You don't need to make babies anymore. You don't need the reproductive organs to be doing their job, firing. You're flipping, and your adrenals are starting to make those hormones. They're responsible for that. So if you're going through a major stressor and your body's trying to make the switch from ovarian production to adrenal production, then a lot of times that can really impact that transition just simply because of the stress. So I like to say the 10 years leading up to menopause are so important. They're some of our most important years. Unfortunately, for a lot of women, it's probably some of the most busy years, right? With life and things like that. But if we can gracefully enter into that and we can manage stress, we can manage our diet, and really focus in on nutrition, getting the movement in that we need to, getting in good, healthy relationships, that positive self-talk that it sounds like you brought in a lot earlier, those types of things. That is really what's going to help that transition be a little bit more smooth.
Yeah, wow. It's interesting because women don't think about, that 10 years before moving into menopause that this is already where we're being prepared. So is it true that your adrenals are affected by the kidneys or the liver? Which
Yeah.
one?
So all of your organs are they're kind of working together. So your adrenals are more of a stress hormone. And I'll tell you where I see the biggest impact on all of that together is, yes, stress, like emotional stress, physical stress, relationships and things like that. But we are impacted from a stress standpoint on more levels than we ever have been. I mean, our ancestors were running from tigers, they're searching for their own food, they're doing all that. That's their stressor. But every single day we are bombarded with stress. And that is from the foods we eat to the water we drink to the air we breathe. Those are toxins that our body has to learn how to flush out. Then we have emotions. We have a job we go to, a boss that we don't like, traffic we're driving in, kids that are driving us crazy, a husband that makes us want to pull our hair out. And then we have, so those are the emotional things. And then if we have anything physical going on, maybe it's from genetics or maybe it's just from a disease process. We're dealing with things like cancer. We're dealing with autoimmunity. We're dealing with just bloating, a stomach upset, just an irritable bowel, those types of things. I mean, we're dealing with the medical side of things too. So that's an internal trauma. If you have had an accident and you have a broken arm or even just physical pain in your body from some sort of external trauma, like we deal with all of these different types of stressors and we're under a chronic state of stress all the time. So the problem with our adrenals is that, yes, we may go take a hot bath, or we may go walk in nature, or we may do something small like that to really nurture ourselves and give ourselves that self-love. If we have a massage once a month or once every few months, we feel like we're doing ourselves a huge favor. But it's the stressors that impact us every single day that are wreaking havoc on our health. And when your adrenals are that overloaded all day, every day, it's just a major stressor on the body. And if you think about every little thing that's impacting you, for like the foods and things that you're eating, you mentioned other organs here. Yes, absolutely, they're impacted because those are our main drainage systems in the body. If we don't detox through our liver appropriately because we're bombarded with toxins and we've never done a true cellular cleanup or a detox to help the body out a little bit, then sometimes we can get sick. Sometimes we can have problems with estrogen, getting rid of that excess estrogen that impacts our hormones and our kidneys as well. So a lot of those things are just because of the toxins that we're exposed to on a regular basis and the stress.
So what would you say then? I heard you talk about the adrenals. Should women get adrenal support? Like I know that flower essences, are supportive for the adrenals. Should that be a place that women look to getting support for the adrenals? What's the first thing that women can do to support their adrenal health?
The biggest thing really is going to be slowing down and just creating more of a self-care practice. I
Is it
would
more of a
say that.
calming? Is it more of a calming? Is it to be calm?
So calm, I like the word calm. And some people are thinking, well, how am I calm if I have all of these things going on and all these fires I'm putting out all the time? So a lot of times it's just breaks.
Mm,
And it's helping your body enter into a state of rest. So for example, if I'm in a state of panic and I want to calm down my nervous system really quickly, I can do that by maybe practicing some breathing techniques.
mm.
And it doesn't take very long, like literally 2 minutes out of your day. If you have 2 minutes to scroll through your phone, you have 2 minutes to do a breathing technique. And even before a call, if you're nervous about having a conversation with someone on a call, you can literally sit back, even if you're at work, and just literally sit back and just breathe. And I like to just breathe in through my nose for a count of 4, and then breathe out your mouth for a count of 4. And then you're going to breathe in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 4. And that's one technique of multiple. But really what that does is it calms down your nervous system.
Mm.
You can't physiologically be in a state of stress when there's a physical response in the body going on where you're calming your system down. So that breath is that physical response. The breath tells us we're in a state of stress or we're in a state of calm. And so you notice that when we breathe in deeply like that, we're breathing into our diaphragm. and we're breathing and we're expanding into our belly, and then we're letting all that air out, it slows down our heart rate. It's opening up our lungs for expansion. Now, if we were actually in danger, that's not the physical response that would be going on in the body. If we were in danger, we would be breathing out of our chest. We would be breathing really hard, really fast. Our heart would be racing. We might be running. So the body naturally perceives that as stress. The interesting thing is if we're not necessarily running from danger, we're just sitting here and we're frantic about this phone call we need to make, or we've got to talk to our boss about something, or we've got to talk to our husband about something, we're in that same physical state. Our heart is racing. We're breathing really shallow. And when we can calm that down just by something simple like breathing, it just changes the dynamic. So if you and I sat here and breathed for just 2 minutes together, it would literally shift the entire feel of the call.
That's so good. It's so good to
Mhm.
know that. It's so good to know that that would be the first thing. I'm glad I asked. What's the first thing to do when you're feeling that your adrenals are out of balance, or you're feeling nervous? Because like you said, before we went into menopause, our ovaries used to be carrying the load, and now that has flipped, and now the adrenals are carrying the load, which is why that change is happening, and why it's important that we calm the nervous system down. And we haven't even begun to talk about the gut, which is something that you specialize in. And so you have written a book called Gut Health. And where can people find that book?
Yeah, so my book is available on my website. It's available on Amazon, and the book is called Healed His Way. So, in my program is called Go With Your Gut, and it's a program. It's really a method that I created to help people transition from not feeling their best in their body to optimizing their health and really feeling so good in their skin, waking up full of energy and ready to just go and tackle the day. And it takes you through really just that simple exercise that I shared with you, just calming the nervous system. So there's about 10 weeks of that, just learning to calm the nervous system through nutrition, through digestion, through rest, through sleep, all of those different things, just the foundation of really helping your body learn how to operate from a state of calm and ease instead of a state of stress and panic. And then the next phase is really working on the digestive system to heal the digestive system, to improve your stomach pH, to balance your weight and your metabolism. Because a lot of times, as we're shifting into those menopausal years, we are losing stomach acid because that naturally declines as we age. And if that's happening, then we have to think about everything that comes along with that. That means that we can possibly get gut infections.
Mm,
We don't really think about that, but a lot of women that I work with, they have an overgrowth of bacteria in their gut. Some of them have had parasites, and it's just from stress and constant stress really to the gut, and then that low stomach acid. When we don't have the right amount of stomach acid on board, we don't digest our foods appropriately.
yeah.
So a lot of us become malnourished. A lot of us gain weight because we're not utilizing the nutrients that we bring in. And then along with that, with those stomach bugs I was talking about, those infections, we start to crave the wrong foods. So we're eating the wrong foods. And sometimes that's not our fault. It's like, how in the world, all of a sudden, I've never loved sweets in my life, but all of a sudden I can't put them down.
Mm.
Well, you're not going crazy, I promise. There is something physical going on inside of you that's driving those cravings. And when we clean up the system, then those things begin to heal. And the beautiful thing about working with this step-by-step plan, the last phase of that is really kind of nurturing and nourishing those hormones, whatever phase you're in. I work with women anywhere from, they have maybe things like PCOS and they're trying to like really balance their hormones. They're very young women and maybe in their 30s. And then I have women all the way into their 60s and beyond. And really it's working in that phase of life. Where are you what does optimal hormone health feel like to you? How do you want to feel every single day? And the idea is that we feel as vibrant as we possibly can at the age we're in, right? And support the body as it's needed so that we can feel our best and really feel good in our skin.
Yeah, so I'm curious about, the acid piece, because I've never really heard that before. I'm curious about, you said that, we stop making as much acid as we age. How do we make more?
Yeah.
How do we make more?
Good, good question. So, a lot of this is through diet and nutrition. So, that's kind of where this piece comes in. Some of my favorite ways to increase stomach acid in the body is just to train the body to make more. And we can do that by eating bitter foods. So, I call them liver loving foods.
Oh,
So,
good.
your liver, they really support the liver as well, and they help kind of naturally detox your body. And those are things like beets, grapefruit, dandelion greens. Beets and spinach are two foods that actually boost the nitric oxide in the body. So those will increase circulation. Reishi mushroom, if you've heard of that, that's actually another thing that will increase that circulation, the nitric oxide in the body. The breathing technique that I just shared, when you breathe out through your nose, and you kind of like push and force that air out, it will increase nitric oxide in the body as well. So a lot of those things are great just to improve circulation. And when you're eating those bitter foods, you're improving stomach acid. Just adding something like apple cider vinegar to your meals every day. So if you're having salads or raw vegetables, anything like that, you can even add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to your water. Ginger is another bitter food, so I like to add that to any of your cooked meals. Even if you're having smoothies, people are popping like a little piece of ginger in smoothies. And you really just want to make sure that like if you need to supplement, HCl is a good like digestive enzyme. If you don't have a gallbladder, things like that, it's also going to impact the stomach acid as well.
I don't
And
have
a
a
supplement. Okay, a supplement with ox bile that can
Oh,
help you kind
yeah,
of digest those foods a little bit better.
yeah.
If you have heaviness after a meal, if you have bloating after a meal, if you have undigested food in your stool, those are all signs that you have low stomach acid and you really want to support that system.
That's good. See, I've never heard that before. You learn something new every day. Like this is something really, really important. When as soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, there is something more here that I want to find out about. So we've got the breathing. Well, the breathing is a big piece. That if women just started to do that breathing technique that you talked about, 4 breaths in and breathing in through the nose and 4 breaths out through the mouth, right? And that
Right,
calms the nervous system and also helps you just release the stress on your hormones, which is the adrenals, right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah. And then the nutritional piece is the focusing on making sure that you have the right amount of stomach acid in your stomach and gut health, because truly our gut and our brain are connected, right? And so making sure that those two are in harmony is an important piece right now too, isn't it?
yeah, so good. I love that. And especially ladies, we're going through it. I mean, we're going through it post COVID already. A lot of people are stressed, they're anxious, they're overwhelmed. Things changed. I mean, women were in their homes trying to balance work and children. And, I mean, a lot of emotions started coming up. We were in homes with our children all day, with our spouses all day. There's just been a lot of like financial changes in the economy, those types of things. And we're under a state of stress, and there is no mistaking that. Like you're not going to be able to just sweep a lot of that under the rug. And I don't want to sit here and tell you that those things are not real, because they are 100%. But that you also have another driving force against you sometimes, and that is that gut brain connection.
Hmm.
And when we work on that and really start to feed the gut with really good, healthy bacteria, it's almost like we can control those anxious thoughts, the depression in a different manner when the bacteria in our stomach and all of that connection is working as it should. So yes, it's happening, but just nurturing both systems is going to be the really big key there. And one of the, you asked about supplements earlier. I love mushrooms. You'll probably learn that by the time we finish here. One of the supplements I love is called lion's mane, and that really helps with that cognitive health. It helps seal that gut hormone connection. It helps kind of nourish the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that runs from the brain all the way down through your digestive system. So if you have a lot of bloating, if you have a lot of the like cognitive problems, like if you've got some brain fog, or if you just have unclear thinking, or if you do have some of that anxiety and depression, that's one that can really help as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important, for the tools to be made available. That's why I wanted to have you back and have this conversation so that we can help the women that are out there that are struggling with this. Because, when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel good, and to even know where to begin, right? It's like you don't want to be told the wrong things. You don't want to keep doing the wrong things. You want relief and support for where you are in your life right now so that you can thrive. And that's an important piece. And what is that? And so feeling optimally healthy, our wealth is in our health. When we're not feeling good, on a health wise, then everything else is declining as well. So our health is the number one important thing to really focus on, our well-being, our health, and making sure that you're feeling good and that you're getting what it is that you need. So I want to thank you so much, Chelsie. Would you like to give the audience a call to action of anything else that you want them to do, in order to make these healthy changes?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is take one thing from this call today and just say, yes, that feels doable for me. That feels good, and implement it. And connect with other like minded people who are on the same mission as you to be healthy, to lift you up, to encourage you along the way. Find a walking partner in the mornings or something like that, something that's going to make you feel good about being healthy. Because I was that person that thought health was kind of boring, health was not worth it. And it's not worth investing in ourselves, it doesn't really work. One thing that I found is that when we find that person that we really resonate with and we say, okay, their message resonates with me, connect with them, reach out. If that person's me, perfect. If it's not, there's someone you may have in mind right now, reach out to that person and say, hey, I'm looking for optimal health. I'm looking for that step by step plan, and I want to make this happen. And truly, you are absolutely right, Cornelia. Health is our greatest wealth. I wish I could just scream it from the rooftops because I've watched it transform so many lives. And when you get your health in order, your finances come into order, your relationships come into order, your marriage comes into order, your everything kind of just lines up around it because you actually feel good enough in your skin. You feel so good that you want to go out there and make the impact that you're here to make. So
I love that. I love that so much, because this is really truly about optimal well-being, optimal health, especially after what we've been through in the last couple years. Now is the time to take the reins on our own healing and really support our physical bodies with what it is that we need. That's why I wanted to bring this conversation out today and have you back, Chelsie. What are your social media connections and handles that you can share with when somebody listens to this interview that they want to contact you?
thank you so much, Cornelia. So my handles are Chelsea Ward Wellness pretty much everywhere, and my website is chelseaward.com. If you want to connect with me, there's a contact form on there. You can just go to my website at chelseaward.com/contact, and you can send me a message directly. And it's CHELSIEWARD. If you're listening and you're not really looking at the screen, my name is spelled a little bit differently. So I would love to connect with any of you and send you any resources. If you feel that any points stood out to you in this conversation, just make sure you make a note of that, and I'll be happy to get resources to you.
Yeah, one of the things I'm going to implement right away is just again the breathing. The breath is so important, and right now, with especially with anything, it's like just to be calm and take the next call and show up for the next appointment and do that next thing. first from a place of peace and calm by intentionally choosing to breathe. And right away, you can know that this action that you just took made a difference.
Yeah. It is so important. And, we take it for granted because we do it every single day.
Yeah,
And we think, what is the breath?
yeah,
And the breath gives us life and it can reset our lives. And I do love that you're committing to that. And that's one thing that I'll try to do as well before calls is I'll step back and I'll say, you know what? I got to end this a couple minutes early, or I make a break for myself in between my calls. That way I can say, I need to just breathe and just kind of reset my energy, reset my focus, kind of tune back into what's next on my list, kind of wash out everything that just happened because, we don't live in a world of rainbows and unicorns. And that last meeting may not have been wonderful. We don't want to carry that into the next and those types of things. So just do that as you go through your day, and I'm sure you'll see a major difference.
good. And it's all about our well-being and about our health. That's what we were talking about today. I want to thank you all for listening and tuning into the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We'll see you again next time. Thank you, Chelsie Ward, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.